What's going on, guys? It's Brahma Gandhi, back with some more choices as yours, and the sun went out. And when we left off, we were heading to Flying Falls, Canada, and we found out that Dolores was very busy when we heard that gunshot. I don't, I don't get her, but I will get her. You know what I'm saying? But right now we're heading to meet our contact in Flying Falls, Canada, and I asked who this person is. So, let's get right into it. Your contact is native to the area, so he'll be useful, she said in a hard tone. I sighed, climbing into an airport shuttle bus. I managed to get a seat just behind the bus driver. He revved the engine and pulled the bus away from the airport. How long is the ride? I asked him, covering the receiver of my phone. He nodded into the mirror, speaking with a heavy French accent. 1 hour. I'm not gonna do a French accent because it's gonna be the oui oui. It's gonna be that. That was one long ride. I went back to the phone. What's the objective? I asked, returning to business. The man you're meeting might be able to help you with the research that Professor Soul was working on, she answered. Soul's research? I tried not to think about the fact that his murder might be linked to the research I had him doing. But I don't have the professor's research with me, and even if I do, his notes are unreadable, all in code. How can the contact help? Ow. My eyes hurting, because I've got a contact stuck in it. That's for you to figure out. Dolores moved away from the phone, speaking to someone else in a voice low enough that I couldn't hear the words. He'll be seated by the window on his own. She said when she returned. I have to go. She hung up. I have the directions, teacher. Thanks, Modi. The bus seemed to be heading in the right direction, though. I put my phone back into my pocket. Send those photos to Dolores and continue to alert me immediately regarding any communication from her. Yes, teacher? How do you think this contact can help us? Probably another scientist. Probably. Those photos have been sent to Miss Montague. Would you like a copy to be sent to the company as well? I mulled it over in my mind. The company was secretive and prone to doing things without informing me. Still, as my employer, I had a certain amount of loyalty to them. If only they showed the same loyalty to me. That being said, anything I had sent to Dolores would eventually reach the company. It was all just about how much time it would take to get there. Nah, wait on that one, Modi. Yes, teacher. I will play your preferred music for the duration of the trip. Ooh, he knows preferred music. That must be nice. I put on my headphones and settled in. It had been ages since I stayed in one place for more than a month. When I was younger, I used to love traveling, but I would kill to get a little downtime now. Danny's looked like it had come out of a postcard, quaint, covered in snow with French and English signs. Oh my god. I couldn't read on for a second. On the outside. As well as a trough under the front window full of native flowers. I marveled that they could survive in this icy temperature. They're fake. Come on. I wrapped my coat closer around me. In the glare of the sun, I couldn't see if anyone was sitting at the window. I stomped my feet on the stones outside to shake off. Oh my good lord. How are y'all doing today? I stomped my feet on the stone outside to shake off the snow and opened the door. Pleasant background music met my ears, and I cast a look around the tiny coffee shop. As Dolores had said, a man in his mid-20s was sitting at a booth by himself at the window. He had short black hair and light gray eyes. His olive skin and sharp facial features suggested he had Middle Eastern heritage. I walked over and sat down without waiting. He was the only one sitting on his own, and the constant traveling made me impatient. Are you my contact? I asked, settling my forearm on the table. He looked up at me, and I took note of the dark circles under his eyes and his general haggard appearance. I assume so, he said, extending his arm to shake mine, because you were in the photos the police showed me. Oh, good God, the police. Morning rang through me, but before I could do anything, he continued. There was a sad and weary look in his eyes. I'm Etienne Soul. You're Etienne Soul. Like Professor Soul? Soul as... Yes. He's my father. And according to the woman who contacted me yesterday, you didn't kill him. She lied. How dare you? Dang! That must be Dolores. She set me up with a contact that she knew was Soul's son and didn't think it was worth mentioning it to me. That's right, I agreed, cautious. There was a rage behind his stare, and I instinctively knew I didn't want to anger him. I worked with your father. I had no reason to want him dead. Actually, it's made my job a fair bit harder of late. I'm sorry his death was inconvenient for you, he said dryly. I cleared my throat awkwardly, turning my attention back to the other thing he had mentioned. The police have photos of me? He nodded, the weary eyes still watching me. I'm a park warden. I work closely with the police. They were trying to figure out if I could help with his murder. Sadly, I haven't seen the man in years. I shifted in the awkward silence that followed. Suddenly, Etienne leaned forward and lowered his voice seriously. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name right, so if I'm not, I'm probably gonna put like a clip of the pronunciation of his name every time I say it. Okay. How do I know I could trust you, or the woman on the facts? Okay, it looked like an O for a second. I was like Fox. On the facts, who promised to find my father's killer. Who's my friend? I want to find his killer too. You damn right. After staring at me for a few moments more, Etienne leaned back and nodded. That will have to do. Teacher, perhaps you can ask Mr. Etienne about the events in Flying Falls. As a park warden, he would know about the goings-on in the area. I nodded, mulling over the questions I had in my mind and trying to choose the least aggravating of them. What caused the fires in this area? I asked, looking out the window. He grunted, unamused. The power went down the same time as the sun, he explained. People were freezing in their beds. We lit bonfires to keep people warm, but a few got out of control. You're a park warden, man. Come on, man. I nodded. It being as I had assumed, human error alongside the cosmic one. I thought about my next question. The woman who contacted you thinks that you can help with your father's research. Can you? He shook his head sadly. Not only haven't I seen him in several years, I'm also not a scientist. I won't understand what I'm looking at. Well, as long as you can translate it. Teacher, I found news reports of scientists being killed in Flying Falls. Oh no. Killings, I would advise caution at this time. Scientists are endangered species around here, right? Can you tell me anything more about the sun going out here? Yeah. Tell me more about the sun. He frowned, his eyes glazing over. People died. It was so cold, he said harshly. It was a struggle to keep everyone motivated. Add to that the murders that occurred. Murders, I asked, fishing the information out of him. Both scientists. We've got next to no leads on who or why, though. You have many scientists around here, I asked, surprised to think that the quaint area would be a technological hotspot. Etienne shook his head. Many have flown into the area in the last week, and a couple have been found murdered. Shot in the back, actually. Hold on. Wasn't that this? Yeah, it is. I was about to say, just like Professor Soul, I mused, rubbing my face. Dolores was right to send me here. It took me a moment to remember I was sitting opposite of Soul's son. Do you think it's connected to why my father was killed? He asked. Statistically, that scenario is likely, teacher. Right you are, Modi. Etienne. He corrected me, thinking I was speaking to him. My name is Etienne. Blinking, I let it go. The man had enough to be thinking about. It was understandable that he'd make the mistake. I'd like to talk to the police about the shootings. Is there any way I could get a look at the scientist? I don't want to ask the police. I've already seen what the police can do. So I'm going to look at the scientist, can I? Etienne threw money down on the counter to pay for his drink. I think I can organize that. Not photos of their bodies or anything like that. I frowned. What other way was he thinking of? I can offer you the next best thing, though, Etienne said, standing. I hastily followed suit. He led the way out the door without even looking back to see if I was following him. He motioned to a jeep sitting outside, unlocking it with his keys and climbing in. I slid into the passenger seat quickly. Where are we going? Remained silent. Man, I want to know where we going. I've been kidnapped twice. He looked at me out of the corner of his eyes, shifting noticeably. To see a friend that can help, he answered cryptically. Oh my god. 2 times now I've been kidnapped to possibly be sold as a sex slave, okay? I don't want it to be a 3rd time, and I don't want it to be in Canada. I groaned internally. Another secretive soul, exactly what I needed. Soul as in soul? No, okay. If it weren't so cold, it wouldn't have been worth it to jump into the car. Man, I am reading weird today. We barely begun driving when Etienne pulled into a side street and parked next to a bus station. The sign above my head said, "Welcome to Flying Falls." I've never felt less welcome in my life. Etienne locked the car and led me into the bus station, knocking on the door sharply. I could hear some shuffling behind it, followed by approaching footsteps. The door flung open, revealing a tall young man in a security guard uniform. His gruff face smoothed into concern and fondness upon seeing Etienne standing there, and he instantly stepped out to take his hand, placing his other on the park warden's shoulder. They spoke together in a language I didn't recognize. Well, since we're in Canada, it's probably French. Dialect detected. Quebec French. It's Canada. Would you like me to translate? No, it's Rhodesia. Yes, I want to know what they're saying. Yes, bruh. Yes. Yes, Lord, translating. Etienne, I will be okay, Pierre. Pierre, I am here for you. Are you sure you're ready to work? Etienne, yes, I need to do it. It was clear that the two were friends. Continue, Modi. Keep going. Keep going. I waited patiently for the two to have their conversation. After a moment, Etienne turned to me. This is the American who's going to help me find my father's murderer, he explained to the taller man. He looked me over with distrust, and I returned the look in a similar way. Man, don't you be looking at me like that. Etienne tugged on my sleeve. This is Pierre. He's going to give us access to the bus station footage. Aren't you, Pierre? The two men gave each other a hard stare, both trying to wear the other down. Eventually, the security guard named Pierre dropped his gaze and moved aside. Yes, I do this thing for you, Etienne, he said in a strong French accent. I'm still not going to do the French accent. I smiled and followed the security guard and Etienne as they led me through the office area towards the small video room. Recordings here, Pierre tapped on the large shelves opposite a 2x3 array of monitors with live security footage. Play recordings there. He pointed out a single monitor attached to a magnetic tape device, semi-hidden somewhere at the other end of the shelves. Okay, I leave you now, he said before going back to the office area, giving us some privacy, but not before giving Etienne a meaningful look. Etienne went to the shelves and started selecting a few tapes without reading the labels. He'd obviously done this before and knew which ones would be useful. Are you sure they all came by buses? Or if you didn't think they were connected, why did you look into it? Are you sure they all came by bus? Americans, he said as if it explained everything. Motherfucker. I don't care if you Professor Soul Son. I will beat your ass if you say that shit again. I will beat your ass. I will personally beat your ass and Pierre. Both of them. You both getting it. Seeing my look, he continued, it's easier for them to cross the line by the bus, as well as cheaper. He inserted one of the tapes into the slots and pressed play, motioning me over. Alright, this was the first one to arrive. 2 hours later, I had photos of all the scientists, even if they were pixelated CCTV footage photos taken on my phone. Etienne seemed displeased when I first pulled out my cell phone. I thought he was concerned about getting his friend in trouble, but as time passed, I realized it was simply a distaste for the object. Does he not like phones? Even the old-school surveillance equipment wasn't immune from his scorn. Several times when it failed to work, he simply hit the thing. That sometimes works for some reason. That actually works. I do that with technology too. When it stops working, I give it a slight hit, you know? And it starts working again. I don't know why. Either that or I just stare at it like I'm about to destroy it and it starts working. I'm telling you, it works. Modi, any way you can run some facial recognition without tipping off anyone? We need to find out who they are and what research fields they're in. Excuse me? Etienne said, frowning at me. He looked puzzled. Come on, man! It suddenly hit me that he had no idea what emoticon was. People like that still existed? I still don't know what exactly it is. Is it supposed to be like an Apple Watch? Modi's like a personal assistant, but smaller. Modi's just a device. Keeps my hands free. Modi's like a personal assistant, but smaller. Yeah, he basically is. Like a computer? He asked with suspicion, his eyes narrowing on my watch. Can we really trust a computer? I am more than a computer, teacher. Kindly let Mr. Etienne know that. I trust Modi, Etienne, I told him, ignoring Modi's other directive. It was strange how the little device could be so vain sometimes. Alright, he said uneasily. Let it do whatever it is that you want it to do. Once we find out who the scientists are and why they're here, we can figure out how that leads back to your father. Etienne nodded, distracted by the displays. Carefully, he gathered the tapes we had used and started returning them back exactly where he'd got them from, tidying as he went. Why does Etienne remind me a lot like myself, personality-wise? I'll let Pierre know that we're done. Unfortunately, teacher, I do not have direct access to the company's facial recognition tool. As per procedure, we will need to send the photos to Miss Montague and she will run them through facial recognition for us. It will take some time and the company will get the same results as us. Damn, man. The company would know the scientists' identities too? I wasn't sure if I was completely comfortable with that. Do I want to do this? Okay, we need to know. We need to know. I'll claim a ticket. We need to know. Yes, teacher. Also, you have an email from Miss Montague. People still do emails? I have not been sent an email in a while. At least, not school-related. She wishes to have an update on your progress and be informed of what you plan to do next. Thanks, Modi. Etienne comes back into the room with Pierre behind him. I looked at the two men, noticing their ease in each other's presence. Nodding to Pierre, I motioned to Etienne and he walked over. I need to call someone. Shouldn't take a moment. I'll wait out by the car. I left without waiting for his response. Dolores was never patient. Knowing the number by heart, I dialed and waited while it rang. Dang, you know the thing by heart? You must. Hey, You must really want that, you know. I dialed away while it rang, leaning against Etienne's Jeep in the bitter cold. This last sun outage must have caused the temperature around here to plunge. What took you so long? Dolores answered, not even greeting me. I was busy with Etienne's soul. Thanks for mentioning that, by the way. It wasn't pertinent, she said briskly. Give me an update. Scientists are dying. Okay, well, I need to end this recording. So, I'll be right back. Okay, let's just go ahead. Scientists dying. These are things I already know. Dogs barked in the background and I frowned. I never known Dolores to have dogs before. She must not be at home. Well, that's about it. That's about it for now, I said. If you want progress, you'd give me more to work with. She harumphed on the other side of the line, clearly unimpressed. Etienne and Pierre walked out of the office and stood talking together for a moment, Pierre casting distrustful looks in my direction. Do I need to beat your ass? You stop looking at me like that. It's disrespectful. Listen, I spoke to the phone, looking away. I've got faces on the scientists that came through the area. I'll find those who are still living and see what they can tell me about Saul. Discreetly, Dolores prompted. Yes, I know my job, I said, irked. I've also dug up some reports on a collapsed... They're calling it gas tunnels, but there's something fishy about the location and the report itself. Check it out. Send me the address and I'll get around to it, I said, clenching my teeth. Etienne started walking towards me as Pierre entered his office and shut the door. Excellent. Get it done. The line was disconnected. Dang! Unsurprised, I shoved my phone back into my pocket. Etienne unlocked his Jeep and I climbed in. Where to? He asked, and I looked down at Modi, displaying the location Dolores had texted. Dang, she texted that quick. I have a lead. Let's check it out. Here's the address. Let's track down the scientist. Yeah, just tell him we have a lead. Etienne looked at the address, concern on his face as he read it off Modi's screen. Your thing is wrong. There isn't anything out there, he said, finally giving Modi one last frown. I am not wrong, teacher. I am starting to feel that Mr. Etienne does not trust me. I knew that Modi was right about Etienne's lack of trust, but I decided to not say anything about it. My source says that there's something there and she hasn't been wrong before, I countered. Oh my good lord. What is wrong with me today? Pulling up the directions on Modi, Etienne appeared even more flustered. I don't need a GPS, he scoffed, shifting the car into drive and driving into the street. Pleased with my small victory, I put away my phone and sat back willingly to let Etienne lead the way. Soon we were pulling up to what looked like an old townhouse or mansion. I frowned, looking around and seeing no collapsed tunnels. Where are we? Those coordinates are literally in the middle of nowhere, Etienne answered, pulling a bag out of the back of his Jeep and slinging it over his shoulders. We'll have to hike through the back of the woods to get to where you want to be. My God. Oh, good lord. Okay. So the collapsed gas tunnels are in the wood? How are you sure that there's nothing there? Collapsed gas tunnels. Collapsed gas tunnels? That's what you think is here? There aren't any gas tunnels in these parts. I stared at him a moment, incredulous. He jerked his head in a forward direction and started walking, me following after him. Are you sure? I asked. If he was right, then Dolores was right about the reports being fishy. I'm a park warden, he countered, lifting his head with pride. I know what's in my own forest. I chuckled to myself. Despite the anger and defeat he had displayed over the loss of his father, Etienne was a strong man with deep morals. I hope not too deep for my needs. I have accessed the records kept by Flying Falls officials and can find no mention of the gas tunnels until this last week, teacher. I believe this is what you would call a cover-up. Who released the information about the gas tunnels? Authorized by Mayor of Flying Falls, Miss Denise. I skipped forward a step to catch up with Etienne. Do you know the mayor? I asked, casting a look over the looming house. Sure, she's a good woman. Stern, maybe a little flexible sometimes, but a good person. Stern, as in politics, flexible, sounds like you don't approve. Okay, we're just gonna end it right there because I'm trying to keep these around 25 minutes, so yeah. See you guys in the next video.